So this is going to be the new space for my brand new HO scale layout. As you can see, we're down to basically bare bones here. This area here is going to be the main space for the layout. And just looking at the camera screen, it looks a lot shallower than it really is. I mean, it's not incredibly far. The wall's not very, very far away, but there is a nice run from here to that wall where I can get some nice long trackage. The basement's split in half, basically. You got this entire half, and then pretty much the same thing on the other side. I kind of wish the staircase was on that side, because I would then have all this extra space. But the good thing is that I'm probably going to leave this semi-open here. So, you know, I could always get tracks under the staircase here. So the idea is that I have basically access to 3/4 of the basement, sort of. I am planning on building a small music studio within the layout. So that benchwork in there is going to be a lot closer to the wall. This way I can get more stuff in the middle, but we'll go there in a second. But what I'm not going to be using is obviously the laundry space. So where I have this piece of wood here, there's going to be a wall here, and then a wall that goes that way right to the main drain pipe there, sewage pipe. But because we put a support beam upstairs, they had to add this extra column here, and I kind of hate it because it's right in the middle and it's in an awkward place. I mean, it does line up with this, but that doesn't really help me because it creates this little pocket here that I don't want to lose. So in other words, if I move that wall back and I put this wall straight through here, now I'm going to be lacking with the nice open radius here to turn the train around for the peninsula. So, I mean, I think I'm okay with that, but and it's especially because the design that I've come up with actually that helps if it's like that. So let me show you the other side of the room. So again, this is where the main part of the railroad's going to go. But then on this side of the staircase, this stack, we're trying to move. Although, if we can't move because it's too expensive, I might just create like a mini wall here, because either way there's going to be, my staging tracks are going to be here. So I might need, even as much as that much space off the wall or more. So this might actually create a frame for that. But then, it's a pretty small access point here. If you have like a laundry basket, it's kind of awkward to get through there. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Ideally, that would be gone completely. But apparently it's expensive to move that pipe. So here is the other side of the basement, where the music studio is going to go. There's the laundry again. And this side, the idea is that the bench work is going to wrap around. Like I said, the only issue is that I do need 2 reverse loops to end up in that corner there. I want to do a point-to-point railroad this time around, but I do want it to have continuous running options. And I don't want it to be where it crosses over in the peninsula and it does some awkward thing and it goes, to some ridiculous grade changes to like get there or anything like that. So just from looking around and testing out some radius options, it seems like that corner is kind of dead, and I'm not going to be doing anything except storing things there. So that might be the best place to put my return loops. And I'll explain to you what my idea is for both return loops in that corner there. So obviously the wall that's there would frame out this room. And then the idea is it's going to be a doorway sort of like right here to go into the laundry room. So here's my plan. I want a railroad, and this is just live and learn kind of thing. My last layout was very similar as far as like the setup for the bench work. It's basically like a wraparound kind of bench work, but it's got a peninsula in the middle of it, and it's double deck, double levels. So the only thing I didn't like about that layout was that you'd get into one of the pockets for the peninsula, and as the train came around, it dipped. It kind of like went into the peninsula wall and then around to the other side. So then you had to run around the entire peninsula, and then this way you could see it on this side. And if you had more than like two guys, even just one other person in the room, it was like you were bumping into each other, and the aisles were too small. And then once you got to here, then you had to cross again so you can get to the other side. It was just a little. It was not user friendly for even small operations. So my idea is that I want to be able to follow my train the entire time around the entire layout without having to duck under anything, without having to open up any gates, and without having to add like a piece of track to bridge things. So that came with a little bit of a price, unless I change the plan, but I doubt it because I kind of like where I'm at right now. And the price is that because of that, there's certain things that you can't do. So you kind of waste a little space that way, but I'm trying to see if I can make it up in other ways. So here's how it's going to go. The idea is that we start here. This is going to be my workbench, which is going to be at like 35 or 33 inches high. That's like a typical table, like that one right there. And then my tracks, the lowest point is going to be at 40. So what I want to do is create this entire straight across here, even the turn that's going to have the loop in it, and possibly some trackage here as my staging. So all of this can hold a pretty nice, chunk of train. And then, I would probably use like maybe 3-4 tracks of that length. With obviously you lose a little bit on the ladder, on the throat, but I think you get a decent amount of HO scale cars, for that length. I'm also getting used to this size scale because it's like tremendous compared to like what I was dealing with N scale. So space, I have to be very, very careful with how I manage my space. So what I want to do is when the trains go this way, which would be going upward as far as the grade's concerned, this would be north, heading north. So it would basically hug this corner here, go up against the wall that will be the laundry room there. This is going to have a little bit of a gate or some kind of like thing for the doorway, but I'm not following my train into there, so it doesn't matter. When I'm not using the laundry room, that could be down. It will then continue, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a wall so that there's a gap here, so a walkway. So when you come this way, the idea is that this little pocket here, you're going to go through the wall briefly, and then you go into spit out on this side. So the curve will already be taking place heading into this little pocket here by the stack here. So then once I make this turn, I would immediately have to start heading in the opposite direction. This radius here could be up to 33 from what I measured. It might even be able to be longer if I go a little bit over the other track or into the backdrop for a split second and come right back out. But I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try to stay on this side of the room. There's going to be a dividing wall from the column all the way to the wall here. So this track will be in front of the wall. So far I'm still following my train. Then I'm gonna hug the column here, but then start heading out this way. Sorry about the dogs, saw something. And then I'm going to, this is where the big island turn is. It's gonna be a nice sweeping turn. This one's gonna be probably 36 or even bigger, around this way. Then it's going to come back into the column here so I can leave space over there for a larger section of the wall. Now, this entire time, basically, since I've been coming through, I'm climbing at a very, very small percentage. I think it's like a 1%. I used this software that allows you to track that to see, you know, what the percentage would be if you, you know, ran a certain length of track. So it's calculating at like between 1 and 1.8% max. So this climb is going to be so small that you're barely going to be able to tell that it's actually going up. That's another thing I don't like when the railroad looks like it's, you know, completely tilted upward. So I'm trying to avoid that. Anyways, so we just came around the peninsula. We're still at like, you know, maybe this is like 42 inches from the 40 inches we had at the beginning. Then basically by the time we get to around here somewhere, we're gonna be at like, I don't know, 44 or so. So we make this turn here. We're gonna sweep around, you know, kind of close to the wall, but with enough room for scenery and stuff. And then here's the one problem. I have all this stuff here, which I have to have access to. So my idea is that I'm going to, you know, I'm gonna frame out a wall here, but I'm going to create some kind of a door that opens up into this pocket here, which kind of, you know, that's the way the track is going anyway. So it'll swing out. This way you can have access to that, and it'll be nice and wide. And then when you swing it back in, it'll continue the track past this pipe and into there. So now we're still climbing. We're still on the lower level, but we're still climbing. So we're somewhere in like the high 40s over here. Continues against the wall. I'm probably gonna have to come out a little bit here because I'm putting air conditioner vents that are gonna come up and out the window. I don't have room for like central AC here or anything like that, or wall units, or rather window units. So it's gonna come here, then obviously it's gonna turn the corner here. And then instead of cutting back into the room here so that I don't have to have some kind of lift gate here or duck under or anything like that, I'm gonna continue straight. So now we're still climbing. When we get into the front of the staircase, I'm going to basically make a false wall here where the train can just sneak through. It's a single track sneaking through. So the false wall, you're not even gonna see the train as you're coming down the stairs. It's just gonna go sneak through and then come out from the other side. But immediately after it comes out, this is where I was talking about opening up the track. So this is where it would open up into the staging yard. Or since I'm climbing, this is still going to be, this is going to be on top of the staging yard. So yeah, the staging yard would be at 40. This would be at around 48 or so. So then we continue to climb. But now we're a couple of inches higher. So by the time we get back to here, the track's gonna be, you know, it was down here at like 40. Now it's probably gonna be around here somewhere. So the reason I did it that way is because I want to gain height, but enough height so I can still have a seam between, you know, the two platforms. I don't like when the two platforms are so close together that you have to like kind of like peek in there to see what's going on, and it's hard to get your hand in there and stuff. So I want to have like about 2 feet between the upper and lower levels, but in the other room, not necessarily here. So then we're gonna keep climbing. It's gonna follow the same route basically that we had before. I guess the wall here, again through this little corner, and then now we're like, you know, now we're starting to get some height. So the idea is that we're gonna have the track pretty much running way up here as we turn. And then the peninsula, I'm probably gonna make this turn a little closer so that it doesn't look like, so that, you know, the bench work is not like on top of the other bench work. And it has a little breathing room when you're standing here in the corner and you're looking into the layout room. Because I don't want the layout to be completely blocked by a wall, you know, by some kind of wall or the actual layout here. So I wanted to push back a little bit so it has a little room to breathe. So anyways, but it would still, you know, match the curvature. It's just going to be a little tighter, maybe like 30 or a little smaller, 28, which I think is still a good radius. And then as it comes back in, it'll still follow the same contour. So it's going to make the turn, but again, we're like way up here now. You know, high enough, it's almost like at eye level, just under eye level. So like a little under 6 feet. And then here's the thing again, so there's gonna be a track down here and a track up here, both attached to that, basically like a door. And then the door is gonna open this way. So that'll be following through. And then as it comes into the corners, you know, it's gonna be on top. So here's like the last layer gonna be around here somewhere, and the upper level is gonna be around here somewhere. So it'll follow through. We'll do the same thing with behind the false wall. And then it'll come out again. And now we're at the top. So when we get to this point, what I want to do is create the return loop here, or the reverse loop. So it's going to go into that corner, come around, kind of like a bulb, and then head back in. But I'm going to double track it on the way back because this wall is pretty long before I have to close it down for the entranceway. So up until here, I would say there is about 12 feet, which means that I can have about, you know, 22 feet of track before I hit the reversing, what do you call it? The reversing gap. So the reason I'm doing that is because if I have resistors on the wheels for block detection, I don't want it to short. If I turn it around right there, well, first of all, it's going to crash into the train. But I want to make sure that we're out of the loop already, and on the way back. So it's actually, well, I guess that doesn't make sense. It's basically so that you avoid hitting the caboose or the back of the train when you come back in. So yeah, I guess the reversing doesn't really matter because at that point you'll be out of that line anyway. So it'll switch it around. So anyways, yeah, so it'll come around. I gotta figure that out. It'll come around, and then now we're heading back. So it's the same thing. We go back. I just stand here and point it out. Now we're going downgrade. Around the peninsula, it's gonna go that way, around into the other room again. Now we're under the other track, around. Now we're in the middle here somewhere. Then same thing, peninsula, into the other room again, and then that's where we're going to be at the lower part, the lowest part, which is a 40 inches. So theoretically, there's going to be 3 tracks here, I guess, because you know it comes through here twice, and then once we get to the staging yard, the idea is that, you know, I'm either gonna put the loop here, or if I can squeeze it in, I'll put it there. This way I have a little bit more trackage for the staging. The only other option would be to start the staging here. Or, you know, wherever the doorway is here, start it here. This way I have the corner and the straightaway before I hit the loop back. I don't have enough room to make the loop part of the staging, meaning I can't put like 3-4 tracks coming around because I'll be out to the middle of the room on my loop then. It's just way too big. And I need to get some, you know, I need to have the space available. So that's the idea. Obviously, you know, when you're imagining or designing a layout, there's always things that are going to change as you start building, or ideas that might pop up. But at least I have the framework of the concept that I want. So here are the dead spots. Because the track is going this way and not that way, there is a dead spot here. There's going to be absolutely nothing in this little pocket here. The peninsula is going to hug, but it's not going to make contact over there because there needs to be a way to get out for the other walkway. So what I might do, and this is the only exception I could think of, as far as interruption to the flow of the layout, is that off of these tracks here, I might have a spur that crosses over, and then I'll have the bench work basically framing the staircase and coming out a little bit on this side. And I might have some kind of a port scene, or something where you need like an extension here, but this is a stub track here. And then this might be a few, like maybe 2 spurs or something that go into different. There's going to be like maybe some industries here that can get switched for the operations. So the way I see it is, if you're not dealing with these customers here, if you're not, if your work order has nothing to do with this, the idea is that whatever bridge I design would kind of tuck under, or be out of the way until it's time to access that part of the layout. Then you would close it, and maybe I'd have to throw some red signals on anybody that's coming that way. But then again, it's not a big deal, because if somebody's working here and this is blocked temporarily, somebody that's coming this way, okay, they can't follow their train for a split second. They just have to walk around the staircase and it'll come out this way. But at least somebody can be standing here and there'll be room behind them to walk, which is exactly what I was running into with the other layout like I described before. So I think that's the way we're going to resolve that, or at least use that space intelligently and efficiently. Then, of course, every corner is going to be used for either scenery or some kind of spur that goes into whatever facility I decide to create, whatever customer, depending on how much track I need. The only thing is that I don't have an actual yard. I do have the staging yard, but not an actual yard. So, even though the corners are going to be used for that stuff, and possibly here too, because, as the peninsula, as the curve for the peninsula comes out this way, there's a lot of room here to still get somebody to stand there if they're working there, and somebody to walk around. So this can be pretty wide before it narrows, and then starts to curve out for the top of the peninsula. So there'll be some industries here. I don't think it's enough for a yard. It's, I'd like for the yard to be a little longer than that. So what I'm thinking is the yard is probably going to have to either be right after the circuit box here, which gives me a very, very long run to the corner over there, or across, once I make the turn here, then I could pretty much start the throat here and start opening it up until I get to the staircase where I'd have to close it up again. I think that's going to be more efficient. That's going to be more useful as a longer yard for longer trains. And then this side could be, obviously, if I open this up, I can have an industry in that corner, and I can have other things here in the front part, because there is going to be probably 2 feet here or more before before you kind of bump into the top of the peninsula here. So that's basically it. I mean, it's a simple track plan, but I think it's going to be fun. And I think it's going to be less railroad to deal with, which is my goal. I don't have like 20 people that are going to be coming in here. I don't even have 3 people that are going to be coming in here to operate with me. It's just there are not that many people that are into the hobby that are willing to go to houses. I think a lot of people go to local clubs and things like that, but some guys might want to come over and run an operation here. So I'm going to make it simplistic. It's going to be single main with a few sidings. The sidings are probably going to be by the yard and maybe one up there somewhere or whatever. But a few passing sidings are going to create enough fun for 2 trains that are working against each other. If one's coming down from the upper loop here, returning, and one's climbing, you got to get it out of each other's way. So that'll create enough of a challenge. And obviously, you know, I have been trying to work with a dispatcher type system, whether it's here live or remotely from somebody else's house. My little cousin has been dispatching for me from Michigan, which is kind of cool. But it's not, you know, it just wasn't enough on my old layout. It wasn't set up well enough to do that over there. So hopefully this will be a little bit more fun. And again, I just want to be able to also just run trains while I'm working on the layout and stuff like that. So I don't want to have to bring it to a stop and then have to pick up the locomotive or do a runaround, you know, or stuff like that. So yeah, so that's basically it. Now, obviously, this is going to be months from now where I start even putting some bench work together. I still have to. I just got rid of the tiles, and now I'm working on leveling the floor. We're gonna do that self-leveling cement here. Still trying to figure out what the floor is going to be. I don't want carpeting, and I don't want anything that's very porous, because if I cut plywood or whatever here, as I'm working with plaster or whatever, I don't want it to make a mess. So by the time I'm done with the layout, it'll be destroyed. So I need something probably a little bit more slick, like a tile or like a plastic floor of some kind, like one of those click and lock things. I don't know. So that's that. And then also the other problem is I'm not sure what to do about the roof, because I don't want to. We don't want to put sheetrock up because, you know, there's a million reasons for it, but besides the height, there's not that much height here. There's other issues with the village and, you know, getting permission and all that stuff to close that stuff up, and you know, God forbid there's a leak or something in the pipe, like I can't access the pipes. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. The one thing I did decide on is that the insulation is going to be spray foam, meaning like the basement specific spray foam that the company comes in and puts it in. That's probably going to be the most expensive thing. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to make sure that this room stays as cool and dry and, you know, temperature controlled as possible. Because you know how basements are, they tend to get weird in the summer and too cold in the winter. So hopefully that would help. And I do have another zone set up on my boiler to do baseboard here if I need to. And then the other thing is that instead of sheetrock, I think what I'm going to do is use plywood as the, you know, as the walls. Number one, is cheaper. Number two, I can nail right to it and not necessarily look for a stud. You know, it's always going to be a surface where I can screw into. And why get, you know, really nice sheetrock up here if I'm just going to put a bunch of holes in it anyway? So I figure, you know, while I have a layout down here and while I still own this house, let's just, you know, let's make it more, I guess, layout friendly and bench work friendly, and just, you know, just screw it to the wall. And who cares if I make a mess of it? We could always take those down and then put sheetrock later, if we're going to make this a living space rather than a layout room. For sale reasons or whatever. So yeah, that's basically it. Oh, the last thing is my plumber's coming to move a lot of this piping. You know, this piping is original to the house. Most of it is original to the house, and I guess they used to use the actual copper pipes to heat the basement back in the day, because they wrapped everything around the entire perimeter of the house, and they kind of brought it in closer to the center, we think because of heat reasons. So the plumber's coming in to move all that stuff closer so we can box those out a little closer to the wall. And there's a gas pipe that runs from outside through here, but it's it's like they put it under the floor joist here, so it's sticking so low. It's like another, well, this is a thick pipe. It's like another probably 2 inches. So any kind of ceiling that I do decide to put on, it's going to be very, very low. So we're moving that along with the fact that they elbowed it here. I don't know why they did that. And then they put it right in the center of the room. and they brought it all the way down in the middle of the entire room, rather than bringing it across the room by the beam and then moving it over there. They did this. So you know, my plumber's gonna move everything over. This way we can just box out the beam and it'll have everything in it, and there won't be anything here. This pipe is the main water pipe here, but it's notched into the joist, so that can get pushed up into the joist if I decide to put you know, a ceiling right up against the joist there. And then that's basically it. Once I had the room framed out, well, once I had the floor done, the room framed out, the plumbing out of the way, and all that done, which seems like a lot, but you know, it really isn't that much. It's just getting the big stuff that I can't do on my own. I can do all the electrical, and I can do all the framing and all that stuff by myself fairly quickly, but you know, I don't know how to self-level the floor and all that stuff without, you know, making a mess of it. So I have to wait for the professionals to do that first, and the plumbing. But then I should be, the pace should be a lot quicker after that. So that's going to be the end of the video. I'm really looking forward to starting this project. Even though I loved my N scale layout upstairs. Like I said, I started it and I almost finished it. It was like 95% done in about 3 years, 3 or 4 years, 3 years, yeah. And I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm still enjoying it. It's still up, but it's coming to an end, you know, and at a good time, because I want to get into HO sooner than later. You know, I think it would be a better choice for me in my retirement, you know, late in the future. I mean, I'm not necessarily anywhere near retirement yet, but you know, if I start now, I think I can pace myself into this hobby rather than rushing through it. And that's the other thing. I felt like I was rushing through trying to get that done upstairs, because I didn't know how long I was going to be up there before I had to get, you know, gutted and redone. Oh, and by the way, that room is getting gutted and redone as well. So we're kind of doing everything at once. So I am going to be dismantling the N-scale layout, and I'm selling everything with a few exceptions. I want to keep some of my favorite locomotives and a few rolling stock cars. And I might even keep like little scenes that I really fell in love with. But most of it is being sold as we speak. There are people already buying things. So if anybody's interested, I guess message me or post under my video here. And I guess it'll be first come, first serve or best offer type deal. But until then, I'll be chipping away at all of this. So that's that. All right, thanks for watching. I'll try to update you as we make progress. Thanks.